Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Shoe Podcast, the only sneaker podcast that was notified today via mail that their data was involved in a Ticketmaster security breach. I'm your co-host, Ryan Landry.
I'm your co-host, Turney Young. AT&T sent me one of those not too long ago.
What are we paying all the service fees for if not for the services? Where's the money going?
Here's the thing. I used to be so don't save my password onto my phone. Don't save my password onto this computer because I want to protect my security. But turns out, even when you take those measures, no one's got it. It's crazy to think because, I remember growing up, everybody's like, "Yo, you got to keep yourself safe on your computer because someone could hack you." Turns out, no one cares about you when they could just hack AT&T
Exactly.
or a huge conglomerate. And be like, I'll just steal billions of people's.
Why would I go one at a time?
Yeah. No. For you, you have to click an email. You have to click a fishy link for me to do it, which you could technically do it, but turns out it's just easier to hack $1 billion company. I'm like, that
who
seems,
knew?
You know how the IT departments will send out those phishing emails? I'm like,
don't get me started. Yeah.
What are y'all doing internally though?
Right. What have you done for me lately?
Not to say that this is all on IT's department.
Not to say that, Ben, we love
you. Ben, you more than you'll ever know.
Yeah.
The boys and girls at IT do a fantastic job. All I'm saying is, I don't think anyone's learning from those phishing emails. So maybe we cool it, okay? All right, Janet, I don't even want to
inbox. Yeah.
Do I just delete it? Do I win? That's my secret hack is no, I'm not done.
He said, I hear you trying to move me along. I'm still doing this bit. The phishing thing is a thorn in my side. Yeah.
Yeah. No. My secret hack is I don't read any employee emails anymore.
Yeah.
Now you can go.
They all go to spam. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to another episode of Shoe Podcast. For those of you that are new here, go ahead and consider hitting that subscribe button, that like or that follow button, wherever you are listening or watching. If you want to watch us, you can catch us over on YouTube at Shoe Podcast or on Spotify. We got the video there. Speaking of YouTube, I should have pulled this up ahead of time. I would like to read to you a very nice comment that we received on one of our most recent videos that we published here.
I hope so, because last time you shared a comment, I did.
This one's a good one. This one's a good one. Yeah, that last one, it wasn't inherently mean, but it was what does this mean?
Yeah. I internalize it as nice to make me.
Oh yeah, it was
move throughout the day.
Yeah. This one comes to us courtesy Static Feedback. Thank you so much for leaving this feedback. I pinned this comment on the video. Oh. So if you want to get your comment pinned on a video, just say something preferably nice down below. Static, please. I don't want to pin the mean ones, right? But content is content, so we got to have something.
We may talk about it. We won't pin it, but we may talk. I'm not going to shout out your Instagram, but I will.
But you'll be mentioned on the recording. Yeah. However we get there. Static Feedback said, in one word, this show is therapeutic. Y'all are friendship goals, and the podcast shines because of it. Genuine reactions and interest in each other's opinions. Get along great. Can take jokes and dish them. Nothing seems forced and always entertaining. I'd invite y'all to crash my wedding, in your choice of sneakers, of course, if I wasn't married already.
Hey.
Thank you, Static Feedback. That's maybe the best review we've ever received. That's high praise.
Yeah, I didn't know how. I don't know Static, so it was going to be a joke. This is going to be a joke, Static. Okay, we don't know each other, but hopefully we do. I was going to say, Static, I don't like that you just didn't put divorce on the table. You can get married again.
It could happen again. Not that we hope that it does. Not that we wish that it does.
No.
But if it does, what you wrote is what you wrote. We pinned it, so we got the receipts. We got the receipts.
Or, hey, look, I don't know, 5 year. I don't know how long you've been married, but big anniversary. You want to renew your vows?
Yeah, we could be there. We could be there. Yeah. Fly us out.
Yeah. Oh, good note.
Depends how close it is. I'd love to be there as well, but if it's a
road trip would be fun.
Road trip might be fun. Okay.
Road trip could be fun.
Static, let us know what the next big occasion is. We'll be there.
Yeah. Static, hit the Discord and
Ooh. It's linked down below. It's linked down below if you want to join us here.
He knows it is. He watched the video.
Ooh. Let me tell you.
No pressure.
This week, big week in sneaker news, and it's only Tuesday. And there's a lot going on.
Yeah. Well, hey, there's a song about Tuesdays.
And the
club went up on them.
on a Tuesday. Yeah.
We just didn't know it was a Disney Junior Club, but
some of the topics that we got to talk about tonight, more colorways of the Jordan 4 RM. They're coming out swinging heavy with those. Salehe Bembury working with Puma? ? That'll be interesting to discuss. And probably the big headline of the week that you'll see everyone discussing. The hammer has come down on the shoe surgeon. Nike sues the shoe surgeon. The Suge surgeon.
Ooh, the Suge? What a name, though. Look, I'm just saying, it started as a conspiracy theory, but there's just evidence that continues to pile up. I think it's weird we have a lawsuit episode and then Nike.
I'm not saying they're plugged in,
but tier 3 subs.
I'm not saying they're plugged in, but they're in the Discord at Nike, and we've been wondering who it was. So yeah.
They be simping in the chat. They are simping in the chat.
We put them on several bands now. Nothing seems to stick. They always come back in. Nike _
Nike with
one.
more E's. They just keep adding E's. I'm like, surely this couldn't be that Nike.
And then they keep saying, you guys ever been to Beaverton? It's like, hang on, that's Nike. No one else would talk about Beaverton.
D1 athletes come to Oregon, unlimited NIL deals.
We know who you are. All right, so we'll get to that one, but let's start off with one of the smaller ones here. Lots of Jordan 4 RM colorways coming up soon. I'm going to give credit to everyone that we borrowed images from for this episode here, but Nice Kicks, thank you very much for putting this all together. Every upcoming Air Jordan 4 RM dropping soon. There's 9 of them here. We haven't really, I think, talked about the RM that much, maybe short of Nigel Sylvester's model that he did. But
I think so.
For those of you that don't know, which was admittedly myself until today, the RM stands for Restomod, which is a combination of a restoration and modification. So it looks Jordan 4-esque, Jordan 4-ish. It kind of looks like if you asked AI to make a low top Jordan 4, might be what you get. But I wanted to talk to you about, do you think they're running this new silhouette in the ground by doing too many colorways out of the gate? We've seen them do this a lot recently with the Air Max DN, right? That was one that we talked about a lot, that it's like, just kind of feels like you guys are doing too much. What do you think?
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Again, I do see, like, I guess, like the marketing strategy behind it. It was like, hey, this is exciting. We should give a lot of variety to the public so that they can, whatever they want, they have the ability to it. Again, that also could be maybe a troubling tale from Nike by doing this, because they are somewhat fearful or know that they're not going to have longevity of these new silhouettes. So it's like, hey, we really can't hold this stock because in a year from now, no one will be buying the stock. So we gotta shove it all out there now while everyone is talking about it, excited for it.
You're saying that if they think it's a flash in the pan, they're like, we need a really big pan, right? Like, if this is going to be a quick thing, let's make it a big thing, Yeah.
And that very well could be. So like I said, to me, I'm okay with this. I like that they kind of do this, like, hey, here's everything, and then slow down on the colorway releases.
Yeah.
But I could see both sides of this, of Nike being like, hey, we just want people to have access to the shoes and, give you plenty of variety to it. But again, there's also that, like, more tinfoil hat tanner that comes into play, which is, I think, that this isn't super, super hype.
Yeah.
And that it's not necessarily going to have some longevity to it.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's funny that you say that, because I think, right, like, as sneakerheads, so often we would say, like, why are you artificially creating artificial scarcity? Like, why are you limiting it to just give us a lot? And then they give us a lot, and when we're like, now you're kind of doing too much, like, I don't know about this. Though. Yeah.
Can you give me a lot of the shoe that's worth $1,000 and it stays $1,000?
Well, and I'm not so much thinking about the resale, but, like, this does very much feel like the Air Max DN to me, where it's like they're coming out with so many colorways, but also, like, they're coming out with so many similar colorways. Like, there's a lot of just, like,
Yeah.
This is kind of like that, but if that shade was a little bit darker, or if this was black instead of white, where, you know, I don't have anything against like new silhouette. We're going to come out with like, you know, 3-4 colorways at launch, but 9 of them that are so similarly in the same color palette as the other just kind of feels like, come on, like commit to the best black and white one. And that's the one, the best green one. And that's the one, the best white one. And that's the one I would. And
it could just be, hey, we're going to give you a lot of variety of kind of base colorways and then give you some other ones. This also looks like a 2000 skateboarding shoe.
It does very much. And I've seen some people online commenting like, this is what the Nike, this is what the Nike SB Jordan 4 should have been. You know, like instead of just like a retooled Jordan 4 with like a change of materials, like it should have been repurposed and built in a way that maybe serves that better. And I'm assuming that this RM model that they're doing is kind of more geared towards like performance and action based because they're launching it with a collaboration with Nigel Sylvester, right? The BMX rider. So you would think that like maybe that's the angle in the story they're trying to tell of like, here's why we made this shoe. So I don't know. I would not be shocked if like you see a Nike SB collaboration or version of this in the future. But yeah, to your point, it does kind of like seem like maybe this should have been the Nike SB Jordan 4 all along, you know? That is interesting. That being said, do you have a favorite colorway of the 9?
Yeah, probably like dead smack in the middle.
Okay, that bread-ish.
Yes,
that's kind of how I look at it. I'm like, it looks bread-ish.
Yeah, that
gluten-free
because it has like there you go. That like yellowish kind of tint to it. It kind of seems like that or that kind of gray one right above it.
The gray one would have been my guess for you. That grayish one.
I do really like that one. So I would say probably between those two.
Yeah.
And then also for some reason, I don't know why, because it's literally just that colorway. Right in the middle. I'm a sucker for advertisement because they know they put this right in the middle where your eyes line.
They put the Kit Kats on the top shelf. I grab a Kit Kat. I'm gonna tell you right now.
The bottom row, one in the middle, for some reason, I feel Harachi while I'm looking at that one.
Okay.
Specifically, just that one. I have no idea why. Can't tell you.
Why do I feel like we're doing a Rorschach test right now? Where it's like,
if someone could psychoanalyze my
something on the left is speaking of like how my mother raised me growing up. I'm not sure what's going on there.
I don't know what that top left one's doing, but
yeah,
I'm very fearful.
Yeah, yeah. That top left one is hey, tell me we miss Jerry Lorenzo without saying we miss Jerry Lorenzo. It's very Fear of God colorway-ish. Yeah, the black and light.
I'm glad you got that. I'm glad.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
See,
I'm listening.
That's why.
The Fear, I thought you would like this one. I think it's got a little bit of blue on the tongue there. It looks kind of light blue.
Looks like it, maybe.
Yeah, we'll go through the Black Cat's been there. Like this one to me just feels like just let us have the Black Cat 4. You know, like we don't need to try and do that again. Let's see. We'll go through them here. The Nigel Sylvesters. I like this shade of green. Black midsoles to me just never much of a thing.
Tough. Yeah. Green is great.
There it is.
Canyon Rust.
This one is good. This one is good. I'll tell you. Yeah. Let's see. What else do we got here? This one, not bad. Fear of God, but with a skeleton. Though. Fear of God, but with a rib cage, you know?
Ooh, yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Sonic. Get you a Dr. Pepper, add coconut. Great.
Okay. Light Legend Brown. Sure.
I don't like the name.
Like, you know, there's not much to say about it. This one I like more than the Nigels.
It's well, I agree with you. Just the black midsoles.
Yeah.
Especially with that dark green.
And then gray and sail, better than the all monotone beige, but still nothing crazy.
Yeah. So which one of these are you?
That being said,
come on, light.
That being said, probably still the Fear of God colorway would be the one.
Hey, they did it good. They did it good then.
The Canyon Rust one, now that you say it, like, I think I like it because it's the right amount of like different colors to break it up. Like it doesn't look so monotone or just two-tone. I like how it's kind of broken up there. The green one with the cream midsole, maybe like my second or third place ish, you know? I like it more than the Nigels. I think it's weird that they did like pretty much the same upper
Same one
as
for
like
their
a collaboration.
That is kind of weird,
but whatever. We'll see how these do. Yeah, I don't really know how much of these have come out yet, but I'm excited to see how long these stick around for.
Hopefully, I really like Nigel.
Next up in the news, Salehe Bembury posted a very secretive post to his Instagram, holding a sign saying "Top Secret Puma Ideas" in front of the Puma private jet, and later went on in comments or confirmed to another like sneaker media news or whatever that indeed working with Puma. At this time, we don't really know much about what's going on there. You got to imagine it's a collaboration on sneakers. I would hope and assume a signature silhouette, not just doing a colorway of something that exists, but it might start off that way. I think that's how, the New Balance relationship started off. Anyways, only one question that I have to ask here. Do you think Salehe could be the one to get you to buy a pair of Pumas? Because I'll tell you what, 3 years ago, I was not a Crocs guy. And I was pretty anti a Crocs guy. Yeah, but then Salehe touched the Croc, and I'm like, hang on, he got something going on here. He made the Crocs all squiggly. I'm liking that for some reason. He put his fingerprint on the bottom. I could see that being my shoe. So yeah, as much as like I've never been a big Puma stan, if there's anyone who's gonna do it, I think Salehe's the one that might get me to buy a pair of Pumas. I mean, it would have to be something special. Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I do like this move from Puma.
They need it.
Yes, they definitely do. I mean, the secret sauce is definitely doing a collaboration. Salehe obviously has exploded with Crocs. It's been, I mean, a big given that you have people who are like, oh, I don't like Crocs, but I like what Salehe's doing, so I'll buy Salehe's. So he does somewhat have, I mean, we've only got one example, but that one example is I will make sneakerheads like something that they didn't necessarily like or didn't think they would like.
Yeah.
And I think Puma may see him like, that's kind of what we need. We need to break through this outlet era that Puma is in.
Yeah, I think for Puma, you need a Salehe or a Joe Fresh Goods or a J Tips, right? You need like someone who is like, has proved they can work with a brand that's not necessarily the hottest brand, the top dog, is more of a challenger brand, but can make product that people have to get. And like, that's who you need right now. So Salehe's one of the best to tap, I think, for if there's someone who's going to make it hot, it could be him.
And I think being able to bring Puma into more of like the streetwear style scene, Puma is, doing what they got to do with their, athletes. But I think this could bring Puma back into, I don't know. I literally just, my brain just deleted that sentence.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're on episode 2 of the night, so you're going to get what you get here, but it's better than getting nothing.
Yeah, that is true.
Here's my last question for you on this topic. Do you think that he does pants?
I hope.
Puma pants. All right. And our last topic that we've got here. We're having fun tonight. The big one that we're going to talk about, you know it, you love it. You clicked on it because of the thumbnail and the title. Nike sues the shoe surgeon, aka the sued surgeon. News on this broke, I think, on Monday of this week. It's all been a blur because putting together a couple episodes at a time, but I'm pretty sure Monday of this week. The news broke that they filed a trademark infringement lawsuit. First and foremost, at the top of this, huge shout out to Sneaker Legal, the account, for summarizing a lot of this information. The lawsuit is 63 pages. I'm absolutely not reading all of it. So if you want to, by all means, power to you, but they did a lot of summarization of it here. So it's a trademark infringement lawsuit. Reading the notes again here. Trademark infringement lawsuit for using, Nike trademarks, the swoosh, the name, the designs, the patterns, all of that stuff. Following the lawsuit, Nike then did issue a statement to some of the sneaker media companies. I'm not sure which one they officially gave it to, but a few of them reported it. I'm not going to go ahead and read the whole thing, but it's on the screen right now if you want to read it. From my reading it, there seems to be kind of two big bones that Nike has to pick with the shoe surgeon here of like why they're bringing about this lawsuit, right? The two main things that is causing this. The first one being, quote, that the shoe surgeon is constructing counterfeit Nike footwear from scratch and selling it as officially branded product. They went on to say, Nike, we valued our relationship with the shoe surgeon and do not have any issues with the limited one-of-one customization he's been doing for us or his clients when allowed under Nike-sponsored athletes' contracts. So this is Nike going very much on the record of like, we like what you're doing when you're doing it for us and with us.
Yeah.
We don't like what you're doing when you're using our stuff and we're not a part of it.
Yeah.
I'll pause there for a second. Go ahead.
It also, I mean, this also could be, I mean, with Nike bringing back the Wu-Tangs, they're like, yo, you are really.
Yeah. The timing there was
really stomping. And he knows, he's tapped in that he's got enough people to let him know. So this was not an accident by any means. So,
well, and Nike said, I'm not sure if it's in this statement here or if it was in the lawsuit, that they'd been sending him cease and desist, I think for like a year now. So he was aware that they wanted him to stop what he was doing. Before I get too much further here, I kind of went through that first section quickly. What was your gut reaction when you saw online that Nike was suing the shoe surgeon?
Not super surprised, since we did just kind of have an episode that was covering like these lawsuits and things like that.
Very, very specifically, Goyard suing the shoe surgeon. So
yes,
it's very timely. Yeah.
And what we kind of ended that episode in, which was a lot of like going off of this, is, hey, when you're doing a one-on-one, I'm cool with that.
Mm-hmm.
When you want to do some type of mass, or well, not mass, but like a larger production, that is obviously when they have an issue. Their issue is not, cool, you did a one-of-one, an athlete or celebrity was like, hey, I want to do this. They're typically fine with that because they're like, cool, this is just promotion,
right?
Yada yada yada. When you are getting into where you're like, I am going to now sell my own custom sneakers at a larger production, this is now where Nike is like, okay, now you're stepping into our field. You're now in our court. This is kind of how we handle these things. You're now stepping from a customizer to we're going to treat you as a counterfeit sneaker producer.
And this has seemed to be, right, the case with Nike and a lot of their recent lawsuits, that seems to be that line, right? When it goes from, I do one-of-one customs to I have many available for purchase, whether it is taking like very much the Jordan 1 and changing the swoosh with a lightning bolt, or if it's like, what if McDonald's or Amazon did a Nike, where it's like, it's not based on a shoe that actually came out, but it's very similar to a Nike shoe. It seems like, to your point, once you get to scale, once you get to quantity, that's very much where Nike steps in. Though I do probably think that also with a lot of the smaller customizers, they probably get cease and desist. It doesn't go all the way to lawsuits because, like, a small customizer probably gets a cease and desist from Nike, and then they go, yep, I'm going to be quiet on that,
Yeah. And this could be, since he's had such a relationship with Nike, maybe he didn't take it seriously. Maybe he thought he got a cease and desist, and maybe he contacted someone else at Nike and was like, hey, I need you to make this go away, or hey, can you work on this for me? I'm not entirely sure. And who knows this? I mean, this may be just a classic example of, I don't want to speculate to the shoe surgeon's income, but I'm assuming it's got to be pretty good.
I think the lawsuit... Sorry, go ahead.
Could this be greed taking over?
I think the lawsuit, if I'm remembering correctly, is to the tune of they're asking for $60 million in payback. I do think, though, yeah, to your point, we said this in the last episode, I'm pretty sure as well, that Nike starting to crack down more and more on these customizers or these replica sellers or whatever it is when they're getting in mass. I think their crackdown is, I stand by it. Nike is losing more of their market share to challenger brands like On and Hoka and Solomon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little harder to necessarily get that back because you've got to sell more of your own, which they're having a hard time doing right now. I think the lower-ish hanging fruit, in my opinion, is to, if you want more of your market share, you get it from back from the people who should not, in your eyes, have your market share, right?
Yeah.
But I think to that point, people buying multi-$1,000 shoes from the shoe surgeon, that's not stopping them from buying like $180 pairs of Nike shoes, Like it's two different customers, or it's the same customer with two different desires. So I think that's where I view a lot of this. So it's like, I get that, you can't, in these lawsuits, you've got to be pretty black and white on like they're using our trademark or not. But I think when you try to say like, it is confusing our consumers into like, what is Nike product not, like, I don't know, but I think your average consumer knows that like Nike shoes do not cost $5,000. Wild speculate. I think if you know who the shoe surgeon is or see the shoe surgeon, you probably know, oh, this is different than what I get at Champs.
Yeah. Or even if there is someone who like makes a post of like, oh my goodness, can you believe what the woke or anti-woke Nike company is releasing? It will quickly be followed with people being like, well, this is not done by Nike.
Right.
And all it would literally take you to do is to go to Nike's website and see that they obviously do not sell sneakers at this price point. So like, I don't see Nike's like, I guess like you said, it has to be black and white.
You've just got to be like, they are using it or they are not.
Yeah. And so it does seem more like it would be a better partnership to be like, hey, you can coexist, but like more of bring those customizers in, like, hey, we're doing a big rollout of the Wu-Tang shoe.
Yeah.
Okay. We're bringing you in because we want to make sure that we have our moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can do this.
That is,
if you come out before, legal action will be taken. We are no longer buddy, but if you let this moment be, and then you go into, your own sneakers or whatever, sure.
That is, I don't know if you've been reading it, by and large, the response in the comments on all these posts on social media is a lot of people saying that Nike fumbled. They should be trying to work with him and bring him on as a collaborator and partner instead 100%. Of trying to shut him down. Yeah, I think so as well.
I mean, he does. I mean, obviously, you look at the stuff he does, and it's insane work.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe at one point they did try to bring him on, and he asked for too much money, or at least what Nike viewed as too much money, and they just said, "Hey, we're not going to do that, but we'll let you. We'll have you as our, Nike sponsored athlete correspondent or whatever." We'll direct our traffic to you and, help you grow or whatever it may be. So I don't know. I go back and forth of, I look at this and I go, is this the Icarus fable, we've got, where you think that you can do everything and you don't want to listen to any of the woes, and rather than kind of just coasting and having a fantastic life, you're like, I want more, and turns out more is more of a detriment to you. Or is this the conglomerate of a capitalist organization that says nothing can exist but the other large capitalist organization? We cannot have smaller competition, and the only reason that there is competition is because they're so large. I can't shove as much money into this because they have almost as much money as me.
I'm mad that I have more of an outline. We could end an episode right there. I'm mad that I wrote more. My man's alive tonight. he's ready. And we'll get back, I think, to the conversation on final verdict and our thoughts here. I did put together a couple more points just to get us through here, but it sounds like we're pretty ready for that consensus here. So anyways, I did want to touch on this first point, right? Constructing counterfeit Nike footwear from scratch and selling it as officially branded product. And they've done some work together in the pack. So I went ahead and I put together a visual based on Nike's criteria here, right, of the good and the bad. Okay, so Shoe Surgeon and Nike have worked together, most notably on some shoes for LeBron to celebrate some of his biggest moments. Two of them being when he passed 30,000 points and when he passed the record for the all-time highest scoring player in the NBA. Good, right? I put the visual there so that you would know this good. This we like. We like when Shoe Surgeon work with us, he makes something for one of our athletes. This okay. This good.
And that's what they did say. They did say that. They did say they're like that.
But we don't like when he's making counterfeit. Okay. So this bad right here. This is Surgeon SB dunks that he's making that has his print all over, or shoes that he's making for Celsius or other brands like that. He's done work with eBay, Jack Daniels and stuff where he's making dunks. So again, listener, viewer, good, works with Nike, make Nike product good. Bad makes Nike product without Nike. They don't like that.
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing.
Okay.
So top one is his own shoe.
Yeah. The Surgeon SB.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Right. You and I know what we're saying, but I just got to say it for the listener. Yes. His own shoe. Yes.
So I can understand the bottom one of the collabing with Celsius, because Nike is saying, hey, we didn't give you permission, because Celsius says,
I don't ride with Celsius, they said.
Celsius could say, well, I could go with Nike to do a shoe, but that's going to cost me millions of dollars.
Well, and
why don't I go with the sushi? So the Celsius one, I understand Nike having a concern with, because they go, hey, we didn't okay this.
Yeah.
We're cool with, that's kind of being like your friend shows up to your house with someone you don't know. And it's like, hey,
I'm cool with you.
We are homies.
I could be cool with this person, but I don't know them yet.
Yeah, I invited you to my house.
Yeah.
Not your homie.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of what the Celsius one is. So I get Nike on that one. I get Nike on that. Now, the top one, see, that's also tough, because I guess Nike also being like, hey, man, we didn't say you could make our own shoe.
Yeah.
We make our own shoe. So it is one of those things where, like, I don't like that. I'm kind of siding with the capitalist conglomerate.
Let me give you the twist, though. So the top shoe, right? The Surgeon SB. I think I agree in that I could maybe see the swoosh on it being a problem, and the fact that it says SB, and if he calls it maybe the dunk in any of the advertising. But like, if he buys if he buys dunks, right? Takes them apart, uses other material that he purchased and builds the upper for it. Should he be able to sell that product without the Nike branding, I guess, is if it looks like a dunk, but you made it and you used it through legitimately purchased materials.
Unfortunately, no, but that's just because we've seen
but
plenty of examples of that not.
But I think that's still the interesting gray area between like what is art versus what is just product, of like,
how many are you
making? Yeah. I think that's
because it's one of those things
they draw that line.
When, if you go to France and see the Mona Lisa, you're looking at art.
Yes.
If your mom comes back with a keychain of the Mona Lisa, you are not looking at art.
Boom.
Boom.
You're not looking at the original art, but you're looking
at art.
Why is it not art? Oh, well, we could do a whole 30 minutes here on what is art, I guess. That would be okay. I'm going to try to save us from that conversation, but I do think aside from the quantity, I just feel like that's probably what all of these lawsuits, right? Is probably that's the argument the defendant's making a lot of the time in these is like, hey, like I'm not necessarily, this is a bad case because there's like Surgeon SB, like SB is very specific, or like you're calling it the dunk. Like when you're calling it that, I think that hurts it. But if you're just like, here is like Surgeon low top shoe 1 that I made.
but then also the problem is that like we've also seen like, hey, that panel at that specific placement at that specific size.
Yeah.
Now here's the loophole.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
Free loophole for the shoe surgeon.
Shoe surgeon, if you don't have legal counsel yet, he's available. Here we go.
Yeah. Now, look, also, speaking to Mr. Surgeon, as someone who had to go through a rebrand because of difficult spelling, you've got a difficult saying. You might want to look into
Shoe
like
surgeon. I think
it's tough.
I'll be honest. I think he's branded now as just the surgeon. I'm pretty sure the Instagram handle and website is the surgeon. We're just so used to calling him shoe surgeon.
Yeah.
The shoe surgeon.
I imagine the Lisp community ate you alive, dude.
So just to be clear, you're not only legal counsel, but you're branding director at this point. Okay.
Exactly.
You're getting a 2-for-1 when you hire him. Now let's hear the legal advice
now,
here.
Again, this goes into you're gonna be a lower scale. Okay. You can't be making $1 million a week, and that's okay because you make a couple $1 million a year. You do something like this, but you just make an Instagram post.
Okay.
I'm not doing a mass production. Okay. I'm just showcasing you what I can do. Someone sees this and goes, I like how the swoosh looks. I like this material, I like this color. They then say, what do I need to do? You say, hey, for materials, things like that, to do a custom shoe, it's going to cost X amount of money. And then now you're just doing one of ones.
And that's what his business was doing for a while. I think that's, to your point,
then
the Icarus.
Became Icarus.
You got to, and whether it's a like never ending greed point versus like we got to keep the lights on and just doing these occasional customs is not keeping the lights on, which for the prices they're charging, you would assume. But that's,
or at that point, give up on your dream.
It could just be that easy.
If your dream is like, well, I can't do this and pay bills, homie, you got to find a different thing.
Yeah.
Again, I'm like, yes, 9 to 5s, 8 to 5. Like, yeah, it's a drudge, but guess what? That's how we live. Okay. That's the world.
Yeah. It is funny because now customizer. None of the Nike open commissions is what they call them now. Open commissions are on their website. It's now just all the Sambas with the surgeon monogram, but they are very clear that these are open commissions, right? And so I don't know if maybe that phrasing has been to try and get around pre-order, which is probably more like
you
clear cut of like, all right, you can't do that. But these are open commissions, which is, I think, trying to have your cake and eat it too, right? Of like, these are all handmade one of one, but also I could make as many as we sell here, you know?
Yeah. They're all one of ones unless 1,000 people want them, then they will be one of one just times 1,000.
Yeah. So I think that's where it's starting to get a little, that's where it's starting to get on their nerves here. Yeah.
Fair enough. See, Mr. Surgeon,
he's available. He's available right here. Point number 2 that I got from their statement here that I think is driving the lawsuit is where they said, quote, the shoe surgeon is teaching others to create counterfeit Nike sneakers. I think actually in their lawsuit at one point they say his online class is like Nike counterfeiting 101. I think they call it exactly that or something like that. It's
who called that, Nike or the surgeon?
I'm pretty sure Nike. Like, I'm pretty sure their lawsuit, according to the screenshots that I saw from Sneaker Legal they shared, like a lot of the verbiage in the lawsuit seemed almost like how I would write an email. Like, it seemed like way more casual than I would think a lawsuit would be. It seems like,
I thought you were saying like on the website the shoe course was called Nike
101.
I was like,
no,
dude, come on.
But
I was like, that's wild.
This point is where I have my bone to pick with Nike. And for those of you that follow us on Instagram, you've already seen me make this point, but I'm going to go ahead and make it once again on the record on the episode here. Nike, right? He teaches people how to make counterfeit Nike sneakers. That's bad. We don't like that. We want to shut it down. What's that? Is that the receipt printer whirring over here? What happened back in 2017, Nike, when you did a full article and write-up on your website about the shoe surgeon visiting the campus and doing custom shoes on campus with pictures. 12 friends to rebuild the Air Jordan 13 bread. This to me was the rub, right? This to me,
Ooh.
And I get that, like 2017, 7 years ago, like your views on this matter may have changed. To me, my biggest amazement is that they have not taken this webpage down yet. Like this is still up.
It's kind of crazy. Yeah.
But I think to me, right, this very summarizes the timeliness of this lawsuit in that like they thought this was cool until it wasn't to them. Like this was something cool that they could showcase of like, look at what a hip brand we are. And like this guy, like he remakes our shoes. That's pretty cool. Until we want him to stop making money off of our brand. And now it's like, we have an issue that he teaches people how to make our shoes.
Here's the hard part.
Hit me with it.
Which you did say, which I think has had me sway my side here, is when it's with Nike, because that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
That's like going to your parents and be like, hey, could I use the credit card for whatever?
Yeah.
And your parents go, sure. And then now you go, well, you told me, so it was cool here, which then means I don't need to ask you anymore.
Yeah.
I can just go get the credit card.
Yeah.
And use it for the same thing. It's going to be, hey, I need to go buy groceries. Cool.
Yeah.
Go buy your groceries. Well, now the next time I need groceries, well, you told me yes. So why wouldn't you tell me yes again? So I'll just skip the part where I go and bother you and ask, and I'll just take the credit card.
Yeah.
And I'm sure your parents will probably be like, hey, what are you doing? I said yes this time when you asked, but you didn't ask. And yeah. And I guess that is the biggest thing. It's like, hey, when you're because again, it's one of those things where it's like, we let you, it's one of those things where it's like, we let you in to do these things because of the importance and it's good for our brand and things like that. And now you're trying to use us to elevate your thing. Yeah. When you are not an employee over here. You are not a founder. You're not anything. So that is I guess it is also one of those things where I'm like, okay, I guess it is one of those things where I'm like, okay, you are doing too much. Like you are doing too much. And yeah, if you weren't famous and uber rich, like you're not a small guy. You are no longer small time. You are working one-on-one with
the biggest name in custom sneakers, right? Like
exactly. You work with the biggest sneaker brand. Let's just call it that. You're working with the biggest athletes and artists and things like that. So you are not a small fry. And I feel like this is one of those things where it's like, I feel like the people are going to have my back. But unfortunately now Nike has said, well, we're no longer doing court by society. We're doing the legal court. People don't have your back in here.
Yeah.
And we will win. Like Nike is.
Yeah.
They are undefeated in that courtroom.
Yeah. I think it's just like, and obviously I'm not going to argue the legality of it because I don't know any of it. Yeah. But I think just like conceptually, when I think about it, like part of, I think what makes it so tough for me is that like what he's doing, I don't know that it's directly taking away from Nike's business.
So, and I don't think so either. I think like you said, it is obviously two different customers. You're going to have someone who's like, yeah, I'll spend $3,000 on some, custom Nikes. And it's true, but it does seem, at least with the way he is set up now, where he is moving into maybe they're not thousands of dollars. Maybe they're just a couple $100. And then it's like, well, then let me figure out what I can get to a price point. And I do also think it's also probably one of those things from Nike where it's like, I don't think Nike is trying to say like, hey man, we made you, but they're kind of sitting there being like, okay, now you're doing too much.
Well, and to be clear, right?
Now you're trying to big league.
What the shoe surgeon does not work without Nike being the brand that it is and having the cachet and reputation
for sure.
It does, obviously. To the quick point, it looks like the open commission
there they
shoes are still thousands, right? So I don't think
there you go.
I don't think he's trying to get into the
Different
hundreds
clientele
here
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much different clientele.
But I think it's just like, it's just so interesting to me to think like they'll legally, I assume, I guess we'll stand to see, have a case that he can't teach people how to make Nike shoes, where it's like the end of that sentence, right, is of course like, because we don't want them to make them and resell them, but just the act of teaching them how to make them.
But then, because I'm also just like, how many people do you think are cobblers?
Yeah,
like,
well, I think his classes are pretty successful, but I think it's probably a lot of people who like, you know, have the dream
hobby
and have the itch and like want to go and make one, but like, are they going to try to set up a whole operation? That's where like, I think it falls apart that like, you know.
Now, yes, that in that aspect, yes, I do not agree with Nike. It'd be like, you can't teach people how to customize. Like,
yeah,
but I'm also just like, you could probably, that's a quick YouTube and see the hundreds of, I'm sure, dedicated YouTube channels that are to. Now, obviously, I know that they're like, well, this is, you know, he's got a bigger market share, but yeah, that I don't agree in the sense of like, no, you can't teach people how to make, because again, I'm like, this isn't a cheap thing. I'm sure probably it's gotta cost you. It has to cost you way more to make. No. Like I'm talking about just like
to even have.
It's got to cost
the materials and the equipment to make it.
Has to cost you way more than just buying a Jordan 13.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like that to me seems more like this is just a hobby. Like I just want to. I just want to do it. Or it is one of those things where it's like, okay, well, hey, I'll take this course because he's going to tell me how to make the Jordan 1, and I can use those principles to make my own shoe brand and make something that is a unique, you know, you can enough. I guess that's really, unfortunately, where we kind of are with, you know, Nike and Adidas and all these big things is I have to make something unique enough. It's not necessarily just, you can't be unique because, I mean, we've seen the patents that just Nike has with how specifically detailed they are. So that, I don't like. I don't like Nike having that. That does seem like a corporate overreach, but unfortunately, for the most part, I'm like, dude, Nike kind of got you on this one, man. Like,
we'll see. We ran another poll on this one. For our listeners, for our viewers, so here's another good reminder. If you're not following us on socials at Shoe Podcast, or subscribe to our YouTube or part of our Discord, we run a lot of polls and surveys. So if you want a chance to have your opinion featured in the episode, we asked the viewers, the fans of Shoe Podcast, do you think shoe surgeons should catch a lawsuit? Overwhelmingly, 89%.
No.
Only 11%.
And I'm pretty sure I actually said no on this one too.
And the vote count was high. It was definitely in you know, upper 20s or 30s. For us, that's high. Okay, take that with a grain of salt. We got the following when we got there. But still, so a lot of people seem to think he should not catch a lawsuit here. Final verdict, our thoughts. I feel like I kind of want to agree with that. And just because part of this feels like, because of the history he has of working directly with Nike and doing stuff together, like, you hate to see it come to this, but I can also understand the perspective that if they've been trying to serve him cease and desist for years, they didn't necessarily want to like get it publicly to this level. They might have been trying to settle it quietly of like, hey, we don't want you to keep doing this, but also like, we don't necessarily want to make like a giant public stink about it. But ultimately at the end of the day, it seems like to Nike, it's important enough that like this stops, that we don't care if it necessarily makes us look like the bad guy here.
Yeah. And I do agree. I don't think that he should be hit with this giant lawsuit. Like you said, if it is to the tune of even close to the ballpark of $60 million, like, that is insanity. But it also, you know, like I said, it has that of like, hey man, they tried to reach out to you and they tried to say, stop. You are doing too much. And then unfortunately this is and who knows, they won't sue me because of our relationship. And
it's so funny because you can go back, like when this news first broke, if you try to Google and search it, a lot of what you find, because it was so recent, there were a lot of posts from a year ago, 2 years ago, where even we would have said it. there's two golden children. There's Bape and there's Shoe Surgeon.
Yeah.
And I don't know why everyone else is getting sued and these two aren't, but like clearly Nike is not suing these two. I think that's another big part of why Nike is doing this, is to set that precedent alongside Bape of like, hey, let's set the record. No one's safe. Like if we think
we will come after everybody.
If we think you're doing too much, we're going to shut it down regardless the relationship and the history and how long this has gone for. There's no precedent. If we want it to stop, we're going to issue the lawsuit.
Yeah. And like I said, it is confusing, especially with the Shoe Surgeon, because like you said, it is just as simple as that. When you're doing it with our stamp of approval, you're good.
Mm-hmm.
But when you do it without our stamp of approval,
yeah,
you are not good.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, that I like it is. I mean, there's just goes back to, being a kid. Hey, you can do this. You can do these things at your parents' house, but you cannot do them at school.
Yeah.
They got different rules. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, dude. But like, especially like when it comes to light of Nike being like, we tried.
Well,
tried reaching out to him.
I think
we tried having him stop.
Going back to what we said earlier in the episode, and again, what a lot of the online sentiment and response seems to be of like, Nike should have brought him in as a partner, as a collaborator, kept him on board and let him work on this stuff. I think, unfortunately, I would assume the level of his business that he's doing right now is not what Nike would offer him to just do Nike. And I don't know that he would take an exclusive with them to like just be a Nike employee and just do whatever they need / he wants him to do. So that's why I think, that doesn't work. But a lot of people had a good point that like, if you know Dapper Dan, right, he got his big reputation of doing like Gucci bootlegs and stuff like that. And Gucci eventually, I'm pretty sure, brought him on board as a partner. So there was some precedent set there. But yeah, I don't know.
I do think I think that would have been the easiest thing. And I think he would have done it. I think he would have success of being an exclusive, either like, even if they're like, hey, you're an exclusive collaborator. I mean, it almost seems like at least as of right now, that's what they've done with Travis Scott. I
think the money would be the issue. And I think Nike moving at the pace that maybe he wants to would be the issue. Because right now, like if Jack Daniels wants to do a shoe or eBay wants to do a shoe, he does the shoe, right? He doesn't have to go through Nike's approval. He doesn't have to wait for Nike to take a cut, and then he gets whatever he gets as like a Nike employee or a Nike independent contract. Right. He just does it. So I can imagine that if Nike has approached, it probably has not made a ton of sense.
Yeah. But I mean, like, that's just another thing where I'm like, man, you had such a good thing where you could do these one-of-ones and be in this weird Bermuda Triangle of like, you're doing a Nike shoe without Nike's approval, but it's just like a one-on-one, like promotional. So it's like, is it really that big of a deal? And it's like, not really. But then it's like, it's just like, okay, well then, shoot, if I could do that, then I'll just make as many as I want. And then that's, I think
that's the tough thing about, I assume he's just trying to scale a business. And part of scaling a business is having like economies of scale, right? Where it's like, I can do an online class and I record that once, and then every time it sells, it's kind of passive income. Or like we do a run of a shoe, I buy a roll of material in bulk for that. Whereas like, he does a gold alligator for LeBron. It takes time to make one, and how many other shoes are coming in for gold alligator top? So it's like, I don't know the financials behind it of like how set he was in the one-of-one business, but I could see the reason behind like wanting to scale up the business.
Yeah, but then I mean, also
it comes with the price.
Also like Nike being like, he did that shoe with Nike, so you don't have to worry about the cost of material because Nike covers it.
Yeah.
So you figure out what you want to do with the roll of this, because I just need material for this. So you pay me to do this one shoe. You eat the cost of that.
But I think also like he did that gold LeBron. I think the big headline around that was that it was like a $30,000 shoe, right? And that was when he hit 30,000 points.
30,000
because $30,000 shoe. And then I forget what year that was, but when LeBron broke the record NBA scoring all time, that was last year, right? I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the two big examples I found of like him working directly with Nike. I'm not sure how many other there have been, but like $30,000 a year, not really enough to live off of there. So I think, like, while it would be good and fine to, like, I'm only going to do the work with Nike, he's a bit handcuffed to Nike giving him enough work to sustain livelihood, you know? So
yeah,
I think it's tough. I think it's tough to try and play by the rules and still feel like you're doing everything you want to do, you know?
And I think, I mean, like I said, I am all for it and I all agree for it, you know, but then it's also one of the things where it's like, well, what if I just use another brand?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's just
Shoe
not
Surgeon and Skechers coming soon.
They would die for it. They could care less who's.
I read just earlier tonight, I think Skechers just sent a lawsuit to LL Bean for part of the shape of the heel trademark infringement. It kind of, to me, felt like this big news broke. And so it's like two other people that's like, hey, I want to be relevant too. You want to just fight each other? Just like, it seems like there's something going on.
We're not going to go anywhere with it.
Right, exactly, yeah. But I just
we both could use some traction.
It's good for me. It's good for you. Yes. LLB, please. Yeah.
And I think it would be a different story if he was like, well, they kind of look like Nikes, but like this is kind of the differences. I mean, it's straight up like he's just like, yeah, it's got a Nike swoosh on it, and I call it the same silhouette.
The 4, I call it the 1. Yeah, I think
so. It's like
that's really the flagrant foul here.
I'm not even like trying to like dance around like, oh, they are close, but I'm gonna call it a different thing.
Yeah.
You know, like it's the Uno, not the, you know, but I mean, he straight up just like, yeah, this is the Surgeon Dunk and it's got a Nike swoosh on it. And I'm like, dude, what do you do? Like, obviously they're that's like the very first patent that they did.
I'm going to tell you right now, calling it the Uno and not the 1 is the bit that we're going out on. I'm not going to let us talk about it anymore because it's not getting any better than that. That's the 1. So thank you so much. If you're listening and watching, you made it this far in the episode, we're going to assume that you liked it. Please subscribe, follow, like, leave a comment down below. Let us know, do you think the Shoe Surgeon deserved a lawsuit? Yes or no? Maybe let us know why. We'll reply to the comments, maybe even pin our favorite. Like we said early in the episode, if you got some good feedback to leave, please do. We'll pin it.
We'll do it.
Nice or not, if it's interesting enough, content is content, you know?
Yeah, content is content. Content is content.
But thank you, everyone, for checking out another episode of Shoe Podcast. You can find us everywhere online except for where we're not, at Shoe Podcast. If you want to continue the conversation with us and our audience, you can join our Discord for free, linked down in the episode description below. One more time, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, that like, that follow, leave a review wherever you're listening. We greatly appreciate it. Tanner, what do you want to leave the people with before we go here?
Buy your significant other a Lego set.
Okay, before you said a Lego set, I was like, where's this? Buy your significant other. Just purchase them, okay?
Because
wow, light flex, okay.
Look at what my wife made for me. Because I was like, I want this. I've been wanting this Lego set.
Yeah.
While I would have enjoyed building it, I know that she enjoys building it more. So go ahead and buy your significant other a little Lego set and and they're gonna love it. And then you get this cute little thing, and then you get it. Or they have it.
Yeah.
Buy them a Lego set.
I don't know how good your grip on that was, but I spent that whole 30 seconds watching, is he going to drop it?
It's a pretty good grip.
Okay.
I can get behind the
scenes. Oh, good claw. That's like me.
Also, look at that.
That's like me with the shoe. Pinholes? They got pinholes, keyholes so that you can frame it? Not frame it, hang it on the wall? Wow. They think of everything over there at Lego. Yeah.
They even show you like, hey, if you buy 3 of these, dude, this was like $40. So it's like, who's buying 3 of these? Like 3 of the same Lego set? That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, like I say, you don't have to go crazy, but I'm gonna tell you what, light up their world. Buy them a little Lego set.
There you go. Shout out my sister-in-law and her girlfriend. They love Lego. Big Lego builders over there.
See, there you go. You can even do it together. You buy a big enough set, or you just be like, hey, here you go.
There it is.
Fun little project for you.
Wise words to end the week on.
Save
one
your
last time.
Relationship.
Save your relationship one last time. Thank you, everyone, for checking out another episode of Shoe Podcast. We will catch you pretty soon, whenever-ish, we're back with another one. I'm your co-host, Ryan Landry.
I'm your co-host, Tanner Young.